sun would always shine. I wish the storms would never, ever come. I wish there was more of peace and more of happiness. I wish there was more of love and more of everything that's sweet. I wish you all the best. I wish you everything that's good for you. May your big dreams come true. May your every wish be fulfilled. We want to make a better world, and you and I can make it happen. Let's start within ourselves. It's time to change from deep within. Let's make that change. For just a minute, that's how it starts. Let's make the time. I wish there were no more wars. I wish there was no more poverty. I wish there was no more fear. I wish there was no more violence. I wish there was more of peace and more of happiness. I wish there was more of love and more of everything that's sweet. I wish you all the best. I wish you everything that's good for you. May your big dreams come true. May your every wish be fulfilled. We want to make a better world, and you and I can make it happen. Let's start within ourselves. It's time to change from deep within. Let's make that change. For just a minute, that's how it starts. Let's make the time. My wish for you.
Greetings of peace and a very good evening. Our esteemed speakers, DK Charlie Hawk and Dr. Stephanie Ng, respected moderator, Professor Dr. Kannan Narayanan, President of Brahma Kumaris Malaysia, Dato Lechumanan Ramata, Director of Brahma Kumaris Malaysia, Didi Mira Nagananda, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, a very good evening. My name is Celia Wong, and I am very honored to be your MC for this evening's event. I know there are many out there from other countries as well. It could be morning for them, some could be afternoon, some could be at night. So good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to each and every one of you. It takes me great pleasure to extend a very, very warm welcome to each and every one of you to this very special program entitled New Consciousness for the Great Conjunction of Time. Ladies and gentlemen, today there is an all-pervasive sense of hopelessness in the world. It seems like the world is going through a dark period of extreme confusion, illusion, and despair. But in the midst of such uncertainties and fears, a new dawn is on the horizon. Humanity is poised for change. This is a time of the great conjunction, the confluence of the old and a new beginning, a time of heightened intuition, a time to change our consciousness and raise our vibration, our positive energy. So let us seize this auspicious moment to break through the old and usher in the new world of peace, love, truth, harmony, referred to by some as the age of Aquarius, the golden age, a glorious period of beauty and plenty. And to take us through this discussion, we have with us a very prominent and good lineup of esteemed speakers and moderators, all specialists and experts in their respective fields, in spirituality, in astrology, or empirical science, and more. And together, you can imagine how beautiful and electrifying the energy would be for us to awaken to a new experience. I must say that this is going to be an interesting evening for all of us. Ladies and gentlemen, this event is organized by the Brahma Kumaris Malaysia, which is part of a global organization that spans all 5 continents and more than 8,000 centers in over 140 countries. So to give you a glimpse of who the Brahma Kumaris are, let us watch this short video clip.
Living values produces greatness and gives significance to human life. Today, to some degree, human life drifts without direction and meaning. Over the last 8 decades, the Brahma Kumaris World Spiritual University has been working to uplift society with living values. The inspiration behind this was the love and benevolence of the Supreme Being. In 1936 in Sindh, Pakistan, the Supreme Power gave divine inspirations to Dada Lekhraj, and the seed of the Om Mandali group was planted. Dada always had deep faith in the One, and due to his intense desire to experience the One, the Supreme himself granted divine visions to Dada. He was given the name Prajapita Brahma and was made responsible for the establishment of the new era, and people started joining the Om Mandali. Recognizing the true potential of women, Brahma Baba entrusted the leadership of the organization to them. Following the India and Pakistan partition in 1950, Om Mandali relocated to Mount Abu, Rajasthan, and thereafter members stepped forward to serve society both within India and overseas. This organization became known as the Brahma Kumaris World Spiritual University. On January the 18th, 1969, the organization's founding father, Brahma Baba, passed away. The running of the organization was handed to Dadi Prakashmani, and due to her proficient leadership, the university has spread across the world, and its 9,000 branches in 133 countries have taken the form of a vast tree. Pandav Bhavan at Mount Abu, India, is the international headquarters of the organization. To build a values-based society, conferences and seminars at national and international levels are organized with a lasting impact. In the year 1981, the university received recognition as a non-governmental organization at the United Nations. In 1986, the UN honored the Brahma Kumaris with 7 Peace Messenger Awards. The year 1981 was also a landmark year for Brahma Kumaris. Malaysia was established at Bangsa, Kuala Lumpur to serve the various sectors of society. Brahma Kumaris' Malaysian headquarters was relocated at the Asia Retreat Center in Dengkel, Selangor in the year 2014. The knowledge of Raj Yoga is given without charge to everyone, and to date, millions have stepped out of their limited belief systems with the elevated feeling of one world family. Om Shanti.
Ladies and gentlemen, this event is in conjunction with the memorial celebration of the founding father of Brahma Kumaris, Prajapita Brahma Baba, who passed away on 18 January 1969. Brahma Baba was a man for his time. His vision for the world was of oneness and unity, a world without division. He saw the dreadful state that the world has come to and recognized that this was a direct reflection of the inner state of consciousness. He understood that a better world can only come about when each one becomes, once again, internally peaceful and loveful, and each one of us takes responsibility for ourselves. Brahma Baba was truly a visionary. He had such a clear vision of what the future world would be like, a world filled with peace, love, happiness, and prosperity. Also very humble and caring. His legacy continues to inspire many people to take lasting changes in their lives. And so, to start off this evening's program, I would like to invite Dr. Lakshmanan Ramata, President of Brahma Kumaris Malaysia, to say a few words to welcome all of you. Let me just give him a brief introduction to all of you. Dr. Lakshmanan, or Brother Lachu as he is fondly called, has spent over 37 years in learning, teaching, and researching the techniques of empowering the mind through the practice of Raj Yoga meditation. He retired from his professional career as the Director General of Biosafety Department for the Ministry of Natural Resources and Environment, Malaysia, in 2017. but he continues to serve in regional and United Nations agencies on a voluntary basis in various fields like environment, forestry, biodiversity, and biosafety. So, Brother Lechu, welcome, and over to you, please.
Om Shanti and greetings of peace. I'm so happy to see so many of you joining this program. This is our flagship program this year. And I am sure all of you in one way or another will be able to get something, some touching, some thoughts, some principles that may be able to bring a change in you. You know, life is about changing. The more we change to the positive, the better it is, and we will be able to face any problem. The other day, my friend was jokingly telling that, oh, you are doing meditation, just sitting there doing nothing. So actually, it is the people who do meditation face the toughest obstacles, because the obstacles come to disturb that person. That person claims that I am able to be peaceful, happy, powerful, light all the time. But the obstacle comes and bring the test to shake you, to see whether you will be able to withstand the force. And the more powerful a yogi is, a meditator is, the more obstacles will come. So Brahma Baba faced lots of obstacles and finally achieved his highest level. He was able to create a group of mothers, and really, even after he has left the body, so many sisters are leading the organization. Probably is one of the big organization led by women, and of course also men. So you know, one of the things that really touched me from the teachings of Brahma Baba is, at the time of parting his body, he said, be incorporeal in your thoughts. Meaning to say, be the soul and think about things, so that your thoughts will always be elevated based on soul consciousness. Totally positive and powerful. And then he also said, be sweet in your words, because everything we do, thoughts, words, action, everything counts. We can't blindly do something without thinking and hoping that you will be rewarded with the actions in the future. And so also he said that when come to action, be viceless, meaning to say there's no trace of any negativity. Even somebody totally negative comes in front of him, he will never see his negativity, but the positive things in him can give him that respect and make him feel the positive qualities. And many people have said that in front of Brahma Baba, they forget every problems, they forget their negative nature and really feel very positive in front of him. So in practice, whenever I have problem, I will think that if Brahma Baba is in my situation, what will Brahma Baba do? So this thought is like a touchstone. No? Then you, for a while, you remain silent, and then your thoughts get clarity, and there's some guidance which you can feel. So I'm sure all of you will be able to take a lot from this talk, and I wish you all the best now and the future, and you will be able to help in the transformation of the world. Thank you so much for joining us. Shanti.
Thank you, Dr. Lachimanan. Dr. Lachimanan, for your very warm welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, the theme for this evening's event is New Consciousness for the Great Conjunction of Time. And to facilitate the discussion is renowned environmental scientist and author, and also a poet, Professor Dr. Kannan Narayanan. Please allow me to introduce Dr. Kannan before I invite him to come on board. Professor Dr. Kannan Narayanan, a naturalized German citizen, calls himself a global citizen, as he has lived in India, Japan, Germany, Korea, and Malaysia, and traveled widely around the world. Professionally, he is an environmental scientist with 2 PhDs and worked in premier institutions around the world. Apart from his academic credentials, he is an author and a poet. 2 of his recent works become relevant to the present discussion. His book chapter on environmental systems innovation in ancient India with factor X components, as revealed in old Tamil manuscripts written for the German Environmental Agency, and his Kindle book entitled Attention, Pandemic Generation, Assessing Ancient Knowledge that Share Holistic Approaches to Stay Safe mentally and physically. Both highlight the ancient wisdom of the East, which could lead the modern world with climate crisis, global level ecological destruction, population outbursts, and reduction in biodiversity. Professor Dr. Kannan has expressed his concern for the global health and his warning for the need of a paradigm shift in human consciousness. His moderation today will give us an introspective perception. So Professor Dr. Kannan, a very, very warm welcome. Welcome to you.
Thank you. And thank you very much, Celia. And thank you, Mr. Lakshmanan, my friend from Brahma Kumaris, Malaysia. And I really thank you all for actually inviting me to participate in this very beautiful event. And thanks, Celia, that you have given a glorious introduction to me, and thank you. And your MC is really excellent. I like it. And now it is my duty actually to introduce 2 of very prominent people joining this event today. And to start with ladies first. So we have with us Dr. Stephanie from Malaysia. And she has a degree, a BA degree in economics, a master's in marketing, and a PhD in business administration. Quite versatile. She is essentially an academic, actually. But she's retired now. But nevertheless, she's making herself busy with web study and consultation. And she's very busy with PhD thesis, corrections, master's thesis, and other things. But in spite of being retired, she engages herself with Vedic astrology, a very interesting subject or a field. Actually, in India, we know the 4 Vedas, but Jyotish, the astrology or Jyotisham, is considered as the 5th Veda. Indians have given so much importance to the astrology. And she has actually studied this astrology, and she's a lifetime member of the Malaysian Astrological Society. And I'm really very glad that she's joining us. She's definitely interested in the influence of planets on individuals, on societies, as well as on the nations and global. So I think I'm really looking forward to see her views on today's event. And then we have Charles Hogg. So he is actually the chief executive and the chairman of the board of directors at Brahma Kumaris, Australia. And he has been taking care of nearly 40 centers in Australia, as well as he involves himself with the international Brahma Kumaris activities all around the world, and he has traveled a lot, more than 80 countries, organizing workshops, participating in conferences, and as well as taking care of these different centers. As you have seen in the introduction, there are about 9,000 centers in 139 countries. Amazing network of Brahma Kumaris. And he must be definitely a very busy man. And Celia told me he's an excellent orator as well. So he essentially believes in meditation as a tool. And he sees the world is in total chaos, both internally and outside. And he thinks only through meditation. If we bring peace to ourselves, and if we meet the conflict in oneself, then naturally the conflicts outside will be solved. And so he's an experienced, more than 40 years of association with Brahma Kumaris. And I'm really looking forward to listening to him. And so with this introduction, I actually invite Charlie Hogg to greet the people who are all around the world now and say a few words. Mr. Charlie.
So thank you so much, Dr. Kannan. It's really a great pleasure for me to be joining everybody tonight. And I would really like to share perhaps some spiritual aspects of this great convergence of time. And as you saw in the welcome video about the Brahma Kumaris, that in the mid-1930s, Brahma Baba, who I think this program is dedicated to, became an instrument for some divine teachings. And a part of that really was many spiritual aspects that really will transform us and change us at this time of incredible change in our world. And the first aspect which he shared was that we are eternal souls. Each one of us is an eternal soul. And most of us believe that I am something more than a body, but he defined it with great clarity. The soul is a point. It exists, but it really has no physical size. You know, in mathematics, a point exists, but it has no size. It has length, breadth, or width, but no real size. And so this tiny soul sits in the center of the forehead in the front of the brain. And so I am a soul. And secondly, the second spiritual aspect was that the soul has been on a long journey. Originally, the soul was pure, the soul was clean. The soul was naturally loving, peaceful, pure, and happy. It was my natural state. But like all things in a material world, it tends to lose power in time. And so the soul started to take birth and rebirth and lose its spiritual power. And as the soul lost its spiritual power, it forgot itself. And I began to only identify with the temporary self or the temporary body. And this had a complete influence on my consciousness and the general consciousness in the world. The third spiritual aspect that he taught was that time moves in a cycle. And this is really consistent with most of the ancient cultures of the world. That we've been through a golden age, a silver age, a copper age, an iron age. A golden and silver age, a time when the soul is the master of the body, an elevated consciousness in our planet, elevated civilization, elevated humanity, which is once again remembered in so many cultures of the world. But slowly, slowly we lose that, and the body becomes the master of the mind or the soul. The copper age and the iron age is the time when really a darkness enters our world. And as Celia said, it's like a world of conflict, a world of division, a world of confusion. And the fourth aspect, spiritual aspect, he really taught that we're in this time, which we've called this great conjunction of the end of an era, a culture of body consciousness, which is almost like a self-destructive culture, but at the same time, a beginning of a new era. Can I say a soul-conscious era, where we start to begin to re-realize who I am and live in a soul-conscious way. He used the language, a confluence age. So a period of time where the confluence of an old culture based on body-conscious ego and a new culture based on self-awareness or soul consciousness. And the catalyst to bring power back to the human soul so that I can move from an old consciousness to a new consciousness is the connection with the Supreme. A connection with the Supreme being the Supreme Soul. So I, the soul, am like a battery, and when I plug in to the generator, the Supreme Being, it's like I am recharged. So this conjunction is really the time to recharge myself. So maybe Dr. Kannan, I should head back to you, because otherwise we can easily go on and on and on about these things. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Charlie, for this very, very beautiful, very meditative verse. I really enjoyed it. And now I invite Stephanie to say a few words to the audience. Stephanie, please. Dr. Stephanie.
About me, I'm very impressed with the organization of this Zoom session and also YouTube live, which is, I think I'm the first time that experience this. Is wonderful. This is the age of Aquarius, I suppose to be. Anyway, I'm very honored and privileged to be invited as a speaker for this evening's event. Well, it is quite a challenging topic, actually. Number one challenge is that talking about astrology. Now, this astrology, there are many aspects to it, or there are many schools to that. One is that talking about the Vedic ancient astrological study. Another branch is the Western tropical astrology. I thought it was Vedic astrology. However, after interacting with the organizing committee members, I realized that they were talking about the age of Aquarius. And as a result, I have to now integrate much of the concept, the principle or the rules of Vedic astrology into the Western tropical astrology. This is a daunting task, but it is a very rewarding task because I do realize that there are a lot of things that we have yet to learn. And I can also share my viewpoints with other people or the public or also the members of the Malaysian Astrological Society. Differing viewpoints, they are actually good. Diversity is strength. So I hope that everyone will have an open mind. After listening to me, you may put in some interesting questions for the speaker, me, myself, and also our good friend over in the other side of the world, that is Charlie Hawk, to answer them as much as we can, or trying our very best to satisfy those people who pose questions. Well, thank you so much for everybody present here, and thank you for Brahma Kumaris for inviting me as a speaker. Thank you. Sadhu, sadhu.
Thank you, Stephanie. You actually added very interesting dimension to this discussion today. And today's discussion is obviously, as Celia said, that's this new consciousness for the great conjunction of time. And here, I understand this consciousness means the new awareness when something happens, how aware you are, you awaken. So, actually, Lakshmanan was talking on the positivity, negativity of people and other things. Strangely, we are actually in a time where we are really afraid of positive people. I mean, the COVID-19 positive people. So negative is better, but strangely enough, that we are really in the midst of a very difficult time. We have this pandemic all around us and causing all kinds of anxiety and physical discomfort as well. But if you look at the globe as such, it's also undergoing a terrible time. You see the biodiversity has been reduced 33% from the state it was in the 18th, 19th century. Population has exploded. We are overpopulated. And there's a great habitat loss. Biodiversity is gone. And then the earthly resources have been extremely, depleted. And so actually, the world is in a peril. And probably that's why Stephen Hawking, the well-known theoretical physicist, said that probably human race may not sustain itself the next 100 years. That's a great warning. Of course, you know about the prophecies of Nostradamus. But then also, you see, like Carl Sagan, a well-known nuclear physicist and astronomer, he predicted that all intelligent civilizations will ultimately fight themselves, kill themselves in war, and end themselves. This is really pathetic. The situation is really, really very bad. But then naturally, as Charlie has mentioned, there's also a light of hope. As one could see that Prajapita Brahma Baba, the organizer of Brahma Kumaris, the founder of Brahma Kumaris, has said that the golden age is not too far away. That's a real hope. That's really a good sign that we can look forward. So in this kind of a situation, what I have done is, as a moderator, I've gathered several questions for these two speakers so that I could ask one after another. And the common rule is that try to be brief. And so that I will ask all those questions, and then after your answers, we will still have some time for a dialogue. And then I also invite actually the listeners all around the world. You could throw your questions in YouTube, Facebook, where it is being cybercasted. and you can also participate in that way. And then these questions have been actually gathered from people around the world, what they say, what they feel in media, as well as a couple of questions from Brahma Kumaris for Charlie and to ask. And so I would really start with the astrologer with us, Dr. Stephanie. Stephanie, can you please explain the science of that great conjunction and the predicted effect on humanity and nature? What do you think?
Can I speak now?
Yes, please.
Oh, yes. Well, I would shall I introduce the topic of the discussion for today?
Yes,
can I
please.
straight away introduce? Okay, can I have a PowerPoint presentation? Then my explanation to the audience will be very clear. All right, today we will be focusing on planetary alignment and conjunction. All right, from the astronomical point of view, yes, our planetary system is basically solar-centric, right? Whereby the sun will be at the center and it will exert the gravitational pull to keep many other planets such as Mercury, Venus, Earth, Moon, Saturn, Jupiter, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, comets, asteroids, meteoroids orbiting around the sun at different speed. So it's like a lot of racetrack. Well, to show to you the speed of these planets that I'm referring to, I will just emphasize on number one, that is Jupiter that you are interested in. It will take about 4,331 days to orbit around the sun. Saturn is the second one, 10,747 days. The fastest planet will be the moon that takes about 27.3 days. And this will be based on the scientific observation from NASA, right? Then we will move on to, from the astrological perspective of planetary transit in a zodiac sign. Astrology will normally refer the transit in a particular zodiac sign. Let us take a look at the sequence. From the sun, moon, Mars, Mercury, I will emphasize on Jupiter because of time constraint. It takes about 1 year or so, right, to transit all the 12 signs, to transit the what you call the sign. So there are 12 signs in 12 years, 1 year per sign. And Saturn will be slower, 2.5 years transit. 12 signs in 29 to 30 years, okay? Now, this will be the explanation from the scientific point of view. In astrology, you also can say that it is scientific, right? Now, what is the meaning of planetary conjunction phenomena in astronomy? Right, the conjunction in astronomy is that it will occur when any two astronomical objects like stars, planet, asteroid, they are aligned or very close to each other at the same degree, the emphasis, in the sky as observed from here, the Earth. This phenomena is due to differences in orbital speed of the celestial bodies. Right, let us look at the conjunction from an astrological point of view. A conjunction occurs when two or more planets, they are aligned or very close together at the same degree in the same house or zodiac sign. Jupiter meets Saturn once in approximately 20 years. So you can imagine the time frame, 20 years time, they meet, right? Next one is that when they meet very close together, it will appear to us from Earth that is one super bright star. So based on Western tropical timing, Jupiter-Saturn conjunction in a new element occurs once in every 200 years. Let us take a look at 21st December 2020. That is where the starting point of the conjunction, and you receive a lot of publicity in the media. Now, in this global forum, I will demonstrate to you or to the audience on the extent of closeness or proximity between the two planets, the two largest planets, by citing the case of Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia. Let's say, take the early morning hour, just 1 minute past midnight on the 21st December 2020. Now, I will use this software, Jagannathan Horror version 8, to generate the data that I will show to you later in table 1, and how to construct the Rasi natal chart that I also show you in chart 1, so that you can have a clear idea. Now, all these planetary positions, they are based on Western tropical timing that I've set into the software. Let us take a look how close it is, scientifically speaking. Right, I will highlight, for example, Jupiter that you are interested in is only 0 degree, 50 minutes, 9 seconds in Aquarius, occupying in that sector or nakshatra called Dhanishta. Saturn will also be 0 degree, 22 minutes and 28 seconds in Aquarius, Dhanishta as well. Pada tree, 2 of them are in Pada tree. So it's very, very close, but they don't collide. Okay, let us move on to take a look. What is this Aquarius? How does it look like? Based on Western tropical timing, Jupiter-Saturn conjunction happens in the natural 11th zodiac house, natural zodiac sign of Aquarius. And Aquarius will be symbolized as the water barrier. Saturn rules Aquarius, that is an air sign, and also Capricorn, an earth sign. One zodiac sign, 30 degrees, 12 zodiac sign, 360 degrees. Don't you think it's also very scientific, right? Astrology. Let us move on to take a look how it is in a chart. Now, there you are, Saturn and Jupiter in Aquarius in the 11th sign in the zodiac. Move on, please. Let us take a look now. If we were to take into account the Lagna, that is the ascendant, right? In generating a horoscope from the astrological point of view, then basically we have to start from one that is in Virgo right until Aquarius. So Aquarius becomes the 6th house. No more 11 zodiac sign, but it's a 6th house. We talk about that. The sign is called Aquarius. Will you be able to see the difference? If you can, then let us move on. Let me ask you, do you know how close is Jupiter to Saturn on that day using Vedic sidereal timing? This will be benefiting those who are in this field called Vedic astrology. So I'm trying to cater for 2 groups of audiences to benefit them. I'm not biased, okay? I'm neutral. Right. It will be 0 degree apart. Can I go back to the next, the 0 degrees apart, and only 9 seconds. That's it. Okay, let us take a look. Vedic sidereal timing. Will you be able to see Jupiter 0.6 degree, 0.6 degree for Saturn, and very close to each other? So they are only 0 degree apart. That's all. Few minutes, few seconds. In where? No more in Aquarius, in Capricorn. Now, in Western tropical astrology, is always one sign before Vedic sidereal. Aquarius will be before Capricorn. Right. So let us take a look. People will ask me, can Jupiter-Saturn conjunction occur in Capricorn? Of course, yes. I have shown to you the data, right? And that is how it looks like. Capricorn, a sea goat with a fish tail. Very wonderful, isn't it? And you have the sign there. Saturn rules Capricorn. As you can see, it is an earth sign. The energy is earthbound. Let us carry on with another slide. So where is Capricorn? In Sidereal. There you are, the 10th zodiac sign, where you have Jupiter and Saturn. If you were to take into account of the Lagna, how would it look like then? Next slide. Take a look. It becomes the 6th house as well, but the sign is different. This is interesting, don't you think so? 6th house. I will explain to you the signification of the 6th house. Right. Then in Brahma Kumaris, you mentioned to me the age of Aquarius. And you also mentioned to me the new age, and you want me to talk about it. Okay, fine, no problem. Western tropical astrologers claim that approximately every 2,150 years, we will be ushered into a new astrological age. The age of Aquarius is estimated to be between 2000 to 4080. Isn't it we are already in it? Yes, about 20 over years already. Do you think it is new? To you it's new, maybe to me it's not new because already 20 over years passed. Right. What is the nature of Aquarius energy you want to know? It is transformative. It involves the deliberate action to cause collective consciousness for changing our mindset for self versus the group realization and fulfillment of desire, as well as breaking down the barriers arising from the rigid old traditional existing political, economic, social, cultural, legal, and technological system. Wow, it is vast, isn't it? It's very dynamic, very powerful. Aquarian energy is also disruptive and destructive as well. I hope you know the difference between disruptive and disruptive. Now look at this COVID-19 pandemic. Isn't it? It's disruptive as well as destructive to political chaos, civil uprising, criminal activities like burning, shooting, killing, fighting, looting, and mass protests against social discrimination, injustices, racism, gender bias, social class, corruption, and other forms of scandal and illegal activities. An Aquarian, if you are an Aquarian, right, you are a reformist, a liberal, and a freedom fighter. You want to set yourself free. You want to set the society free. So what is freedom? Take on. What are the predicted effects of Aquarius energy that you would like to know? Well, in simple terms, I can sum it up like this. Aquarian effects or influences since the last 2 decades have been felt worldwide, including the recent dreadful coronavirus, which was first detected in the city of Wuhan in China between 25th to 27th December 2019. From Wuhan, the COVID-19 virus went global, causing health hazard, panic, restless, unrest, chaos, loss of human lives, sadly, and economic losses due to lockdown of business activities domestically and internationally. Wow, come the first wave of coronavirus, COVID-19 pandemic that occurred late March to June 2020. And then after that, you have gradual recovery from that virus or pandemic that was noted sometime in July to October 2020. Oh no, breaking news, second wave of COVID-19 pandemic broke out in Europe, in China, and many other parts of the world from late September 2020 to November 2020, and the situation worsened. Even worse, the news says got new COVID-19 cases spiked, as well as new strain or mutated coronavirus that was found in late October. causing further lockdown of economies in several countries, including Malaysia, until today in January 2021. Sad, isn't it? Very destructive, very negative. So what will be the nature and effects of Aquarius energy for 2021 and beyond? What I can see now in 2021, the age of Aquarius, well, expect new types of energy to connect us with other people at home or abroad, as well as other forms of life on planet Earth and other planets. Oh, go to the moon and Mars. Well, good, great. And we are going to have technological breakthrough in the cyberspace as seen in the successful launch of SpaceX, pioneered by Elon Musk recently, and that is paving way for commercial space travel and tourism in 2024 to 25 under the company called Virgin Galactic. Are you aware of this? Very exciting. And we are going to pray that its first flight, test flight launch in a few weeks' time can be successful so that we can also go for commercial space travel and tourism. Fine, but do you have the money? Oh, great. So we pray that fortune will fall from the sky or the divine blessing that make us all wealthy. Boom, we go. Isn't it wonderful? Age of Aquarius, good. 2021 and beyond will witness further advancement in digital, innovation in artificial intelligence, AI, cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, and carbon capture technology. These are some of the predicted future energy flow from Aquarius, which also rules the networking system relating to the airspace. Why air? Because Aquarius is air element, right? Viruses are carried by air, airborne. Airline all shut down, poor thing. So now, what is Jupiter energy? Wow, Jupiter is the ruler of Roman gods. It is the largest planet. How big, right? Look at this, 142,984 kilometers, NASA fact sheet. In Vedic astrology, Jupiter is the guru, is a teacher, right? And the most benefic planet capable of generating positive energy for spiritual cultivation, relevant to your center called Brahma Kumaris and other spiritual centers as well. Expansion of knowledge, development of wisdom, creation of opportunity and wealth. Pray to Jupiter for wealth to pour in. Jupiter takes 1 year or more due to retrogression motion to change from one sign to the other. And Jupiter rules Sagittarius. Sagittarius is fire element, is a moon trikona sign, and Pisces is also its home, but that is a water sign. All right, go on to the next one. What is Saturn energy? Saturn is the Roman god of harvest and agriculture. It is the second largest planet, diameter 122,536 kilometers, according to NASA. Saturn is cold, slow-moving planet that takes 2.5 years to change from one sign to another. In Vedic astrology, Saturn is malefic, no good, negative planet, a significator of karma with intense energy of hard work, discipline, restriction, justice, and harsh reality of punishing the wrongdoers and rewarding the righteous within a set of rules, very rule-bound. Saturn energy is negative when it causes delay, gratification of the working class, late success, old age, suffering, sorrows, tragedies, including death. Note, Saturn completed its 90-year cycle from 1929 to early December 2020. So we have witnessed disaster, COVID-19 pandemic, terrorism, collapse of governments, and also corporation. Wow, that is disaster, but it's also good, right? End of presentation on the overview of Jupiter and Saturn conjunction. Okay, any other astrological information and details we can discuss during the Q&A session later on. Thank you for your kind attention. Sadhu, sadhu.
Thank you, Stephanie. You actually brought me back to my childhood memories, where both on my maternal side and my paternal side, my uncles were astrologers. a lot of customers used to come and sit there, and he used to give beautiful lectures like what you did. But I diverted into science, and I have my own views on the effect of planets on humans or society. That we'll come back to it later. But before we get into that more critically, I have a question, and this is partly from Brahma Kumari's point of view. That Baba has said that we are really entering into a golden age, a new age. And what, in fact, like what is this new age that we are entering into? So I actually want Charlie to reflect on this question. Charlie, please.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Kannan. The golden age is really the pinnacle of humanity and the pinnacle of human consciousness. And perhaps one way I would like to describe it as a world of love. And perhaps this cycle of time that we go around, the human soul takes birth and rebirth around a cycle of time. It's really a cycle of love. It's a love story. Because the golden age is a world of love. The soul, all human souls are at their pinnacle state of purity. And why often we have a memory of perfection in relationship. So it's a time of, very elevated civilization, a time of harmony of human souls with nature and animals, a time that is really remembered in all the cultures of the world. But when we come to the third phase, the copper age, the human soul, as I said earlier, is a little bit like a battery. It's losing its power. And when it starts to look outside for love and peace and happiness, it becomes influenced. So I begin to love the wrong things. That's all that begins to happen. When I love my own body, when I forget I'm the soul, it becomes ego. When I love others' bodies, it becomes lust and attachment. When I love material things, it becomes greed. And so it's like a pollution develops in the human soul, which transforms the whole consciousness of the world. And so in the copper and iron age, the human soul searches for the truth that it's lost. And what we see now at this great conjunction that Stephanie was talking about is a transformation of consciousness. In a sense, we have this extraordinary education of how to love accurately. And that really means that I transform my love from that which is temporary to that which is eternal. And so this relationship with the divine is the trigger to reawaken the consciousness of humanity and the consciousness of the human soul. And so at this time, rather than when I love perishable things, temporary things, material things, even my own body and the bodies of others, I build fear into my life. I fear, I attach my heart and I fear losing that thing. But so I get this extraordinary education of loving that which always exists. So the transformation of love, from physical love to spiritual love, from love based on emotion to love based on truth, from dependent love to pure love. And in a way, all I do is refocus my love, and I begin to learn how to become soul conscious, to be a soul, and how to love the Supreme. And this conjunction, shall I say, of the soul in connection with the highest being triggers, recreates the purity within myself, and that begins to create the new age, the golden age, heaven, the age of Aquarius, whatever we like to call it. Different cultures call it different things. But we're in this extraordinary transition from an old consciousness based on the body and a body conscious state, which is a self-destructive consciousness. All the things that Stephanie was saying is happening, and even more will begin to happen. But at the same time, there's this recreation of soul consciousness. This new energy is coming into the planet, which is the foundation of the creation of the golden age, or the age of Aquarius, which is really like a new civilization for humanity on this planet.
Thank you so much. That's quite inspiring. Actually, like I've been talking to people, Corona has really actually made us to reflect on many things. And one of the things is this, and the people start actually reflect on their own lifestyle and how destructive their lifestyle, both psychologically as well as physically. And one see that actually that's what is happening now. The whole world is really looking for some hope and get over this psychological trouble what we are undergoing. And so Stephanie has mentioned that the Jupiter, the effect of Jupiter and Saturn, and how troublesome it would be. It's very interesting. I wish that I listened to her in 2019. She predicted this pandemic situation. She also predicts that the future is going to be much more exciting, both in cyber world as well as intergalactic travels and things like that. So that's really very, very exciting. But back to the spiritual aspect of this. So if that happens, actually, like when we are entering into the age of Aquarius, as well as in a metaphorical sense, into this golden age. So what preparations should we make to take maximum benefit during this transition? So how should we behave? Because as an environmental scientist, I do expect actually a paradigm shift in human consciousness, especially the behavioral shift. Like people have been talking about that in India. With this pandemic, they repeatedly tell people should change their behavior, little more hygienic, and be conscious of social distancing and things like that. But people actually jokingly say that you need to keep a social distance with your refrigerator because at home you keep on eating. Okay. So back to this question, so maybe I'll throw this question to both of you, but more to Charlie. What does the universe want us to realize or wake up to through this great shift in energy? So both of you could answer to this, but let me ask Charlie to begin.
Thank you once again, Dr. Kannan. I think the universe first wants us to know, experience, and love who I am. And I would say what we're seeing, the chaos in our planet, is because the first relationship with the self has become sort of so dysfunctional or so damaged. And so the first realization I think that's going to shift this world is the realization of who I am. Not just enough to know, because 80% of the world has some belief I'm a soul, a spirit, the psyche, the Atma. The Atma, the Sanskrit word, which means I, the living, the dweller in the body. And so really we take up a spiritual practice for this, meaning that I just don't believe it, but every day I begin to practice to reconnect with my intrinsic self and realize that I'm a permanent soul, not a temporary body. Because when I think I'm a temporary body, it has two children, my ego and my lack of self-respect. and they distort all my thinking. So the first realization is really to experience who I am. And in a way, meditation is converting a belief into a feeling or an experience. And when I convert the idea of the soul into my true self, I taste deep peace. But the second realization, I would say, is this loving relationship with God. This is the most profound trigger that's going to change the planet from the old to the new, if I can say. And I begin to realize that just as I am a soul, God is also a soul, a point of consciousness, if I can say, but a soul that is never, ever adulterated, remains eternally pure, retains truth, in a sense is beyond the cycle of birth and rebirth of we human souls. So at this time when we connect with this pure being, who's an unlimited source of love, peace, purity, and power, it's like I am energized. And actually, all we have to do is remember, some people today, I think if you tell them to meditate, they feel it's not easy to do because it's sort of trying to elevate my consciousness. The most natural thing for the human soul is to remember. We're always remembering what I have to do, how I have to do. So when I remember the Supreme Soul, I connect, I'm influenced by that energy, and it's like I download, I live stream the energy of the divine into me. And that's the catalyst to make me pure. So I would say first, I have to realize who I am. Second, realize this one relationship that's permanent. This relationship with God, this relationship with the divine. And thirdly, that this connection will make me pure and prepare me for the golden age, which is on our doorstep.
Well, thank you so much. Actually, like in environmental perspective, we often say that if you are egocentric, okay, then what you see is not a destruction of nature. But if you are ecocentric, that if you also embrace these other beings in planet Earth, then it is benevolent. You are benevolent, and the world will be benefited out of your compassion and love. So very beautifully you said that we need to actually reflect on ourselves and connect ourselves to this universal energy. In Tamil, we often say, Yadum Ure, Yavarum Kelir. So that is an aspect of an universal outlook that everybody is my kith and kin, and then the whole world is my home. That kind of an universal outlook will come only if you are not so egoistic. Only if you connect yourself to an universal energy, and then you will really become benevolent. And so, Stephanie, do you think that you could, not to a large division, but briefly, can you reflect on this question? Because I always seen in astrology, they say there is an effect of planets on human people, but how do you actually, when you receive that energy, you have some role to play? Can you actually feel it and do something, or it is like teleological, that it is fatalistic, that you can't do much about it? So how does it go? Stephanie, please.
Well, this is a very, very challenging question where you want me to go into the detail. I don't have much time.
Sorry about that.
All I can do, I try my very best to show to you certain PowerPoint slide just to make things easy. Now, if you are talking about the impact of this conjunction, Jupiter and Saturn, how is it going to affect humanity? Well, I think it has got a huge impact and also uplifting human consciousness. Look at it. Jupiter-Saturn conjunction in Aquarius is actually signifying among other problems due to what I've told you, destructive effects, which I've already identified, is a new cycle of change or revival. And this is the period of transformation that involves a mix of both negative and positive energies, right? Why we need that? Because we have to destroy what is not beneficial and then rebuild or replace what you considered as beneficial to people in a given community or society or nation or the world at large. To you is good, to others is not good. To you is wonderful, to other person may not be wonderful. Well, this is a matter of interpretation actually. But whatever it is, changes have to be made. So I would call it a reset in motion. It is just a reset in motion. What does it mean? To me, it's a dynamic energy moving towards what? Towards a better world to live in, or hopefully can progress to a spiritual world in its original pure form. Where? In the sky or in the space? This has got meaning to your spiritual cultivation. Planets, stars, they are all spiritual. Look at it that way. Look at Jupiter energy. It's actually spiritual. It's a guru, spiritual. And other positive effects that already been discussed to benefit mankind on this planet Earth. Saturn energy is karmic and justice. With the negative effects, why we need that? Of course, to cause consciousness, awareness of karma, the law of karma, cause and effect in governing our human lives and worldly affairs which are taking place in this earth. Suffering is an essential ingredient for higher consciousness or success or fulfillment in non-material form. This is a fact. You need to have suffering. You need to swallow the bitter pill so that you know how bitter it is. And then you can compare later on how sweet things come along. That's it. So what is this consciousness? Of course, soul and body consciousness. Soul is spirit to me. Soul consciousness is non-material, which I do concur with Charlie. It is deathless, beginningless, endless, no birth, no rebirth. Soul consciousness is at a higher level than body consciousness. It is about self-realization beyond what? Beyond body in this very present moment. Body is matter. Body consciousness comprises material stuff and sense gratification, sensual pleasure, but temporal in nature. Soul consciousness, of course, is pure because you are non-material. Like, I am a peaceful being, I am a compassionate being, etc., positive qualities, capable of connecting with spiritual beings or the divine. Why we want to connect? For empowerment to benefit mankind and other beings. What are the other beings? Animals also other beings, and insects are also other beings in this planet. Aren't they good? They are good. You may say that they are very destructive, but there is a purpose. However, talking is simple. The big question is, where is your soul and where is my soul? That, I think, Brahma Kumaris will have a technique to track down or to identify or to teach you on this aspect. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Stephanie. Actually, like what is interesting in your statement is that suffering is good. Because in the Bhakti movement in South India, they often say that if there is no suffering, you would never realize. So in a way, like what you said, that the sufferings actually make you to reflect on life. The Hindus believe that the earth is karma bhumi. That means the soul enters into the planet Earth mainly to experience and to learn. And so that brings me to the next question. If it is about the heightening of new and higher consciousness, what does this consciousness actually refer to? And is it essentially for humanity or for others? This is actually kind of a phrase more for Brahma Kumaris style. And may I ask Brother Charlie to reflect on this question?
Thank you, Dr. Kannan. Yes, this consciousness is really the realization of the self, the soul, and perhaps we could say that it's regaining my self-respect. As I, the soul, forgot who I was, began to identify with my body, I started to be influenced by two consciousnesses, if I can say. The eye of arrogance, which is the eye of superiority. And this eye compares with others and thinks, I am better, I know more, I am right. But when it comes into my feelings, that's when I feel easily insulted, disrespected, not valued, excluded. So my ego has taken over my consciousness when I'm body conscious, or my lack of self-respect, which is the eye of inferiority. This eye, when it's ruling in my inner world, thinks others are better, others know more, others don't love me, others don't value me. And when it comes into my feelings, I feel hopeless. As it was said at the beginning, there's an epidemic of hopelessness. So most of us are under the influence of these two body conscious children, my ego and my lack of self-respect. As I begin to practice that I am the eternal soul that Stephanie said so beautifully is deathless. It always exists. I am eternal. Actually, as I rebuild my relationship and I experience the love of the divine, my self-respect returns. This is the greatest gift of this conjunction. This is the greatest gift of this change, that I step back into my sense of my own beauty, my own value, and my own goodness. And this is the result of the loving relationship with the divine. And to the extent I have self-respect, I can respect everyone. So I can respect people who are different to me, people who think differently, people who look different from me. Look at our world. People are so threatened by difference. To the extent I have self-respect, I will be totally humble. Humility is the expression of self-respect. To the extent I have self-respect, I will be absolutely loving and I will be loved. And so this new consciousness, this soul consciousness builds me back into my sense of self-value, mainly through the loving connection with the divine, so that we start to live in this planet with self-respect. And when I do, I will respect others. I will respect the animals. And as Stephanie said, even the insects too. There'll be this whole atmosphere of positivity, love, and respect for everything. And it's real. It might just sound like some beautiful theory, but it's absolutely real.
Yeah, thank you so much. It is so beautiful. But I have a practical question. Normally, most religions or the humanity as such do believe that there is a soul, and that's universal in nature. And even in science, in parapsychology and the near-death experiences, that has been now recorded, and people start even scientifically believing the existence of soul. But nevertheless, when we talk that you are the soul, but I'm sure that Brahma Kumari has developed techniques to realize that I'm not fully this physical body, but I'm ethereal. I'm beyond this. I'm transcendent with nature. Charlie, how do you think that we can, like it's a major question because in 2050 we will be about 10 billion people in the world. How do you think that this large mass of people to realize this fact? Because it's very easy to identify yourself physically. Yes, I am, because when you are born, you are being given a name, then you acquire a lot of other identities. And so then you start believing my identity is actually make me as a person. But when we say that you are not that person, right? You are a soul. But how efficiently we can convey this message to people? I ask this question because Brahma Kumari is already doing a great service. And you have about 8,000 centers all around the world. And I'm sure that you have much better experience over discussing. Back to Charlie, sorry.
Thank you, Dr. Kannan. Actually, as I think I mentioned earlier, 80% around that of the world's population already believe they are something more than a physical body. Many have near-death experiences. Many have many experiences as a child. And so it's an innate wisdom within us. And I think that as this age is growing more powerful, we realize that the whole foundation of our thinking is based on falsehood. To me, when I base my life on falsehood, that is like the crisis in the soul of humanity. Why? And when it bubbles up, that's when I feel stress, anxiety, depression, which is normal in this world. And so people now are open to experiment with the idea that I am the eternal soul. And meditation, of course, it takes practice. And it's not enough just to believe. We're at the time, a part of this conjunction is not that it's just enough to believe like a religious belief. I have to practice. Practice means I take out the essence of this truth and I experience it. And meditation is the conversion of the knowledge of the self into the feeling of peace. Because when I extract the truth out of the awareness or the truth of the soul, I feel this incredible, my mind cools down, my inner world calms down. I taste silence, which is the natural state of the human soul. And actually my experience, Dr. Kannan, is everywhere in the world, all the countries I've traveled to, people are absolutely receptive to the idea of who they are. I am the soul, I am immortal, I am eternal. And as Stephanie so beautifully said, I am deathless. I can never die. The whole concept of death is a construct of a body-conscious culture.
Oh, beautiful, so beautiful. And this is what exactly I wanted, because you are a globetrotter and you have traveled all around the world. And so I want to see that, because this paradigm shift, sometimes I'm very skeptical about it, whether will that happen or not. But your words are very, very promising. Stephanie, there is a question from the public that what is the difference between the Vedic astrology and the Western astrology? Because you distinctly made a difference out of that. It's a little bit out of that. Sorry, Charlie, I will come back to you later on the spiritual side. Yes.
No problem.
Yeah.
Well, I suppose in the Western tropical, they will take the kind of observation as what we have seen in the sky, like in the star and the planet, as it is. In fact, they follow exactly like the NASA system of observation in calculating the positioning of the planets. However, in the Vedic astrology, they do have their own kind of system to follow. In fact, there are quite a number of schools that emerge. That sort of thing is just a matter of differences in calculating the positioning of the planet and the star movement. But it's not much of a difference in the kind of a distance or the degree wise. So that is a simple way of explaining in this very short period of time that I'm given the kind of thinking. Now let us take a look at the Jupiter transit and also the Saturn transit today, for example. Let me show you a slide which I think is easier to explain. Slide number 2. Slide number 2, right. Let us look at Jupiter transit, right, in Aquarius that we are emphasizing on. You look at the date, the time. Now, December 20th, 2020, the date ended will be May 13, 2021. And after that, it will transit into Pisces, May 14, 2021, and then July 28, 2021. After that, it will go back to Aquarius. The R means retrogression. July 29, 2021, ended December 28, 2021. And it goes to Pisces again and back and forth. Let us take a look at the time of the transit for Saturn. Let us compare. Right. In the Saturn transit, Western tropical timing, right? Saturn in Capricorn, that was already over, right? Saturn in Aquarius, right? March 21st, 2020, and in July 1st, 2020. And then it goes to enter into Capricorn. This is a retrogression. July 1st, 2020, December 16, 2020. Then it enters into Aquarius again, December 16, 2020, March 7, 2023. This is based on Western tropical timing. Remember the date. Let us now compare with the, what you call the
Vedic
sidereal timing. I think the slide is not here, but I will show it to you, never mind. As I mentioned to you earlier on, in Vedic sidereal timing, is always one sign before that of the Western tropical. So if you take Aquarius, then Jupiter-Saturn conjunction in Vedic will fall into Capricorn because of the differences in the calculation of the timing of the position of the planet. Okay, can I have the slide number 4 to put you into kind of a perspective? Now, if you are talking about Western tropical, as just now I mentioned to you, let us take today, the most recent one, which you are interested in. You will notice that in the Aquarius sign, it is not only just Saturn and Jupiter, like what I have mentioned to you on the 21st of December, 2020. That was first starting point of the conjunction. Today, you will notice that Sun and Mercury already move forward. They move quite fast. And they are conjunct on this Aquarius, where you have 2 or more planets. We call it the stellium, 4 planets in Aquarius. What will be the significance of this? Of course, it's significant to mankind, because you are going to find that Sun is so hot, the heat is so hot, and that it will combust the other 3 planets. That means it will further cause problem and also will weaken that house. That is the 6th house. We call that the Dusthana house in Vedic astrology. Dusthana means indicating difficulty and also problem, suffering. Don't you think that we are still suffering under the lockdown of the pandemic in Malaysia? Yes, we are. We can't even move freely. We can't even eat in the restaurant. We have to pack. And schools are still being shut down. And then we may not be able to travel overseas as well. This is conjunction of 4 planets is very disastrous. The impact is so powerful. Okay, so now I draw the line, dotted line that connects Rahu and Ketu. These are interesting, and I have integrated into the Western tropical. This is strictly Vedic, where Rahu actually is the snake head, the north node of the moon, and it is conjunct with the moon as well. Ketu is the snake tail. That is the south node of the moon. Do you know that now all these Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, empty, no planets. Strange, isn't it? All the major planets, plus the outer planet, 3 of them, Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto. They are all in one side. That means to say, the snake head, Rahu, and the snake tail, basically, they are gripping all the planets. One shot. Now, when the snake grabs a person, let's say, do you think you can breathe properly? Do you think you can die? Sometimes, instantly, you will die. Even though not dead, you are strangling. You are struggling. So this is the kind of a situation where we are in. The energy is so intense. Even though Jupiter has got positive energy, but the malefic planet will be Saturn, Sun. And what about Mercury? Mercury, if it is conjunct with a malefic, it becomes malefic. If it is conjunct with a Jupiter that is supposed to be a benefic planet, it will become benefic. But there are three malefic planets together. So don't you think that the negative energy will overpower the positive one? Is it good? I think the answer is yes and no. It is good because it awakens you, make you more aware what you should do. Saturn is teaching you a bitter lesson so that you can become a better person. You will be able to take precaution and be mindful of all the things around you. Well, it is bad because you know a lot of suffering, no businesses, a lot of unemployment, a lot of fears. We are so fearful. When we go out, we have to put on the mask. When we talk to each other, we have to be at a distance. And now, because of this pandemic, that is why we have online, Zoom, YouTube Live. Do you think that it is better to go online or to have person-to-person conference or forum? You tell me this. Simple answer, I would prefer to have human-to-human interaction in a conference or a forum. Don't you agree with me? We are also suffering here. If we don't have the technical people to help us, we just cannot have this live session online. But it is also good because we learn something. We become more internet savvy. We are more digital now, make us wiser. Yes, that is how it goes. In this world, we need to have both negative and positive to achieve a balance or to lift us up to a higher level that is beyond all these masses of suffering. No death, deathless. No need to take rebirth in this world. This world is just a shadow of the pure world. It's just a shadow, full of delusion. We think that it is so good, but it is just a delusion. To us, it's so deceptive. Well, these are highly philosophical.
Yes, yes, it is getting philosophical, and we need to mind our time also.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Thank you. And I have a couple of the last two questions actually. This is from Brahma Kumaris, and so this is addressed to Charlie naturally. So what does Brahma Kumaris organization to do with this heightened human consciousness? That's what they're saying. The second one is, how does this phase of great conjunction be aligned to the significance of that vision and legacy of the man who saw a greater future, Prajapita Brahma, the founder of Brahma Kumaris? So, Charlie, what do you think about this?
Thank you again, Dr. Kannan. I will be quite essence-full because I know time is moving on, but Brahma Baba, you know, he had a vision in the 1930s of massive transformation, which included upheaval, but really giving away to an elevated world. And so his vision was that this period since the 1930s has been a period for transformation of the human soul from body conscious to soul conscious once again. So when I'm soul conscious, I'm pure and elevated and beyond the feelings of death. And so his vision really was to create this soul conscious world. So moving from an Iron Age world based on body consciousness, this conjunction is the same as he called, you know, the confluence age, which is going to deliver us into the golden age quite soon. And so all this upheaval he predicted right at the beginning, there would be massive upheaval in all spheres of humanity, but not to be afraid of that this is just change. It's not the end. It's not something to be fearful. It's just sort of like a cleansing, a karmic cleansing of our world so that our world can really return to the beauty of the golden age once more and human souls can be freed from suffering. So in essence, that was really his vision. And all over the world, people are practicing to move from this body conscious state to this soul conscious state by having this connection with the Supreme Soul.
So beautiful, so hopeful, and thank you, Charlie, for this so wonderful message. And I think almost we have come to the end of this discussion. I'm not pretty sure that I should consult with Celia. Celia, do you think that we go further with the program, or do you think we still have a few minutes to work on it? What do you say, Celia, please?
Hello, was listening intently to the discussion. Very interesting. I think we have to be mindful of the time.
Yes.
There are a couple of questions from public, and I think as soon as we take up one or two, we can then come to a close because it's already 7:38 according to my clock.
Right.
And so if you don't mind, somebody has fielded you the questions, maybe just one more question from the public, and then we have the next session ready. Is it okay, everyone?
Yeah, it's okay with me.
Yes,
Yeah,
it's fine.
Okay.
It's fine, Celia.
Yeah, I understand it's quite late in Australia also, so I'm mindful of the time. So yeah, just one more question, because there are quite a number of questions from in the chat box. And
yes.
so I'm also getting some of the questions. I hope you do get it, Doctor. So over to you to ask the next question, and then we can summarize and closure.
Okay, good. So I got those questions. Like, this is actually like Charlie has answered about that, but nevertheless, like it is again like it's better to repeat it from the public's point of view. So the question number one is, it is addressed to both of you actually. Nostradamus predicted about world destruction. What do you think? Is this related to a great conjunction? Is this conjunction actually denotes destruction? That's the question. The other question is that Stephanie's fantastic explanation as Age of Aquarius' ultimate goal is individual freedom and liberation. Don't you think we'll be back to the 60s, hippies, Woodstock generation, and good wives, etc.? And so these are some interesting questions from the public. There are a couple of more, but we don't have much time for that. But both of you can reflect on these questions. Yes, please. So I go with Charlie first.
Actually, you know, all the great religions and the cultures have predicted a massive upheaval. You can call it a destruction. But actually, it's just like a physical transformation to support the construction of a new society and a new culture based on a new consciousness. Because as Stephanie has been saying, and I've been repeating, the soul is deathless. So when we're body conscious, the idea of a destruction is very fearful. And we fear for ourselves and our families. But actually, when I really become the soul, I realize that everyone in their next birth will actually be born into a positive culture. So a destruction is just like a change, a transformation. And just to give you a tiny example, in Australia, we have huge fires, if you remember last Christmas. But the Australian bush needs a fire. Now, when you see it, it's horrific. Everything goes black. But actually, it looks like a nuclear bomb has hit it. Within weeks, it's green once again. And all the trees don't die. So sometimes nature needs a healing. So this upheaval, there will be a destruction. There will be a massive upheaval. And the souls will go home to a soul world and then start to come back into the golden age, the new world, and a new cycle will begin. So the destruction is not final, it's just a change from an old culture based on falsehood to a new culture based on truth.
Thank you. That's really, really very hopeful again, and so very soothing. And if we look at the world this way, the fire example, what you gave is true, that it's normally a fire has a role to play in the rejuvenation of forest. And you were correct. So with COVID-19 also, I just noticed that in India, where I'm locked now, locked down, and in India, what I realized was that COVID-19 has done a lot of good things there. The death due to air pollution is really very high in India. But now, because of COVID-19 and less traffic and all those things, so my prediction is that in 2021, if they calculate, the death rate in India would be less than what it was in 2017 or 2016, because there's not much air pollution, the nature has rejuvenated itself, the water is clean. And so there are a lot of good things that have happened in that respect. And so Charlie is very correct. So if you look at it like the soul is deathless, and so it doesn't really matter whether an astronomical prediction of world destruction would be. So it becomes immaterial in that sense. But there was also this question on Stephanie. Somebody has asked a question to Stephanie. Did you listen to that, Stephanie?
Well, I do concur with Brother Charlie. Explanation, and I think we share a lot of similar viewpoints, even though he is talking about spirituality and I am talking about astrology. But there is always a connection anyway, where you have the rising and falling of dynasties, of countries, or government, or institution, or corporation, or organization, even as we are as individuals. When there is birth, there is death. That is for sure in this earth. So what is that to worry about? People are so happy when parents, they give birth to a child. All the people in the family, they were celebrating big do, parties and so on. But they have forgotten that, oh, sorry, don't put this one yet. Sorry, they put on the slide too fast. Now, then they've forgotten that if there is birth, surely there will be death. And when the time comes for death, then all the people will be crying and howling and screaming and banging their hearts and so on, especially those tragic deaths. Actually, for what? You should know that in this world, this is nothing new. What is so new? Nothing new. So take it easy, right? So even though whosoever that predicted that there will be a destruction, there will be a collapse, let that be, because the new world will emerge, new things will emerge. And also somebody says that, isn't it the age of Aquarius in the 1960s were hippies? Okay, you can extend that as far as that date, no problem, because all these are actually, I would term as a kind of a perception. You perceive that this is something like that. And then from your perception, you spread your viewpoint. The more you spread, the more people believe in you, then it becomes like a buzzword. And then when the internet talks about that, oh yeah, this becomes like an explosion. I will put that into inverted commas. But from the marketing point of view, as me, as like a marketer, I will view it as nothing new, because this is just like rebranding of the term. To you is new age. To me is nothing new. To you is an explosion. To me is nothing. It is just like a tremor, a shaking up, causing you to be alert. That's all. So these are kind of a human mind, because we are so trapped in our body, and our mind is creating a lot of stories. So we pick up ourselves beyond this, then okay, fine, the soul take place. Good. Hope that I explained that.
Thank you. I mean, both of you have actually concluded this session in a very interesting way. So we got lots of perspective of this question. And so what is consciousness? What is soul consciousness especially? And what is this great conjunction really means from an astrological point of view, and then from a spiritual point of view. So I think that the subject is so interesting that we can keep on talking about this, but we need to really, it's sleep time for Charlie. So I pass over this session to Celia, the MC of this event. Hello, Celia.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Professor Dr. Kannan, Brother Charlie, and Dr. Stephanie. This is indeed a very insightful and interesting discussion. I think, as Dr. Kannan said, we can go on and on the whole night, but then people need to go and sleep as well. So, I'm sorry we have to end, but we have learned a lot. I have learned a lot too. And so, but dear brothers and sisters and ladies and gentlemen, we have a very meaningful small gift for you at the end of this event. So do stay on if you can till the end. And so, yeah, thank you so much for that very wonderful session of discussion, and given us a lot of understanding and insight on this topic. And so now we will have a few minutes of silent reflection, and it will be guided by Didi Mira Nagananda, who is currently the director of Brahma Kumaris, Malaysia. And so may I now invite Didi to present some thoughts to guide us through this silent reflection. Didi Mira Nagananda.
Greetings of peace to everyone. For the past hour and a half, we have been hearing the words body consciousness, soul consciousness, peace, love, many things, positive things. Let us spend a couple of minutes now before we return home experiencing the sweetness and the depth of soul consciousness and God consciousness. Just sit, relax, breathe in and out normally. Ask yourself this question: who am I? Who am I really? When I introduce myself to others, what do I tell them? You may tell them your name, your age, physical identity. Is that all me? Think about it. As you ponder over these thoughts, you begin to feel another layer emerging from deep within. You have feelings, you have thoughts, you have emotions, and also memories. All these subtle aspects are contained in that tiny point of light energy, which some call it as soul, psyche, consciousness, or spirit. So that light with mind, intellect, and subconsciousness reside in the center of my forehead. So let me visualize myself as a tiny little star sparkling in the center of my forehead. As I concentrate, I touch the core of that light. I begin to experience peace. I am peace. Vibrations of peace emerges from deep within and fills my mind. My mind has become like a calm lake in this awareness of myself as a soul. I am a peaceful being, full of love and power. I, the being of light, I exist forever. I am eternal, immortal, and imperishable energy. In this true self-awareness, I begin to experience myself becoming so light that I can move away from this body, and I see myself floating like a beam of light beyond this body, enjoying freedom. I go beyond this dimension of physical into the dimension of golden red light. I see myself in the presence of the supreme light in that region of golden red light. I am connected to the supreme light, the source of peace, love, and light. I draw the energy of peace, love, lightness, and power from the Supreme. And I allow this energy to spread out into the world. I can see this energy reaching out to every corner, every particle in the nature. I am fully energized and empowered in God's company. And I slowly return from this higher consciousness, being connected with God. I return to my body and I become aware now this body is only an instrument to express my feelings and emotions. I am really a light, a being of light. Let me begin to see myself in this awareness, soul consciousness, and let me begin to see others as I come in contact with them in soul consciousness. This new consciousness we develop towards ourselves and towards all other human beings on this earth will definitely create a new world, a golden-aged world where there is only positive energy prevailing. Even now, with this practice of soul consciousness, I can embrace the whole world as one family. Every time from today, you think of the word I, together with that, remember I, the soul. I am soul, I have this body. I am soul, child of the Supreme Soul, who is also point of light like me. And I have come from the abode of peace, God's home. Even if we can remember these three things, it would help us a lot to change our negative consciousness to positive consciousness. And together we can bring a new world. Thank you. Om Shanti.
Thank you so much, Didi Mira. That was indeed very refreshing and peaceful, yet energizing the soul. Now, dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, we have heard a lot about soul consciousness, higher consciousness, new consciousness, but how? Do you know how to reach that level of consciousness? And because this consciousness will enable us to tap into our inner potential, to tap into that vast potential and opportunities within the self. But if only we know the inner self. And for that, we have free meditation. It's available at all centers throughout the world. And for immediate sign up, you can register at the Google link, which is at the description of this event. The YouTube description, you can just go further down and you can see the Google link. You just click on it and there is a very simple form for you to fill up, and we can reach out to you and then share with you the beautiful meditation called Raj Yoga. And now, all of you, very patient and fortunate ones, you have stayed on till the end and you deserve to receive something very special. And you want to know what it is? Are you ready for it? It is a very special blessing, words of wisdom, especially for you. Each blessing or words of wisdom is for you only. It is unique, it is meaningful as it captures your thoughts and feelings, and what you will get will be significant for you in your life. So go on, come on, go to the chat box and or at the bottom, as I said, at the YouTube description of this event, Click on it and you will get it instantaneously. You can also receive it on your device. So I welcome you to please do that so that you get something very special for yourself for this event. And so, ladies and gentlemen, my dear friends, we have come to the end of this event, this beautiful program. And on behalf of the Brahma Kumaris, I would like to thank our two esteemed speakers, Brother Charlie and Dr. Stephanie, and our respected moderator, Professor Dr. Kannan, and especially to all of you out there, my heartfelt thanks to each and every one of you for taking time off to join us this evening, without which this program would not have been such a great success. So thank you, each and every one of you. And not to forget the team, the whole team has been working so hard, and the technical team making this program so seamlessly, effortlessly, as if nothing is so easy as if. So everyone, thank you so much. Goodbye, and I hope to see you all again. Good evening and good night.
Thank you for your inspiration, for your life and love. Thank you for your recognition of the one above. Thank you for your sweet compassion, for your life of truth. Thank you for walking on this earth. Thank you for being you. The river flows back to the ocean. The trees turn back to dust. The sun must set as the day ends, and so shall all of us. The gift of silence is returned to each one, soul by soul. I know you hold it in your heart as you watch your life unfold. So go to the sea, flow to the ocean,